right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Neighborish livecast. I'm Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, and we have an amazing show for you today. With me today is a person who exemplifies the idea of coming full circle. Somebody's calling me. I can't answer right now.
Anyway, by cutting your phone on.
Of coming full circle. So a couple of years ago, I did a show called Getting Over the Hump, and my good friend was a co-host on it, and he had to do a couple of things. He had, a job, and he got married, and so he had to step away. So my brother Jason stepped in as co-host of that show. So now Jason has stepped away from this show to focus on his music career, which is going crazy right now. He has an amazing single and an amazing mixtape out. But my brother Just Mike has come back to fill that void, and I'm so glad to have him here. Welcome, brother.
Thank you. I miss y'all. And Jay be back. Jay be back here soon.
I see the wedding picture back there. How's the lovely wife?
She's awesome. She's more than I deserve.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
Shut up.
Nah, that's cool. That's a great sentiment. And
nah, she really is.
It looks like I have my feminine energy here with me. Aisha, she's on in voice only today. She said she's not camera ready. So
I really am not, David.
But I know Mike's gonna talk to me.
I'm gonna take my hat off. That's not camera ready.
Do you see that Mike is laying in the bed right now?
I do see that, Mike.
You're not camera ready. Come on, man. But anyway, Aisha's one of my dearest friends, and actually the other host of the original show that we used to do, Getting Over the Hump, a brilliant conversationalist and a great person, which you'll see, Miss Aisha Green. Thank you so much for coming to co-host this evening episode of Getting Over the Hump with us.
Thank you, David. That's so sweet of you to invite me.
I appreciate you. It would be so much better if we could see your smiling face, but I'm not going to harp on that because we have an amazing show for you this evening. Because our guest today, let me say, the first time I saw our guest, she was headlining at the Native Tongue Open Mic on the same night that I made my comedy debut. Woo-hoo. And that night, I was blown away by her talent and skill and her sheer ability. It was amazing. So since then, doing research for this interview, it came as no surprise to me that she's graced stages from the Kennedy Center to the Howard Theater to just a number of places in this area, and shared stages with people like Johnny Gill, Kenny Lattimore, Earl Verner, Bilal, just to name a few. Her latest release, Awakenings Part 1, is a 4-song EP carefully curated to perfectly display her outstanding vocal range and writing ability. Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Cecily is with us today, and we're so glad to have her here. How you doing? Sorry I stumbled a little on the intro. I just wrote that because I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff, but it's all true. I'm a huge fan of yours.
Thank you.
How are you?
Thank you. No, it was a beautiful intro. I'm good. I appreciate that. I'm good. Thank you.
Good, yeah. So, like I said, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to talk to you. First of all, I'm a fan. Your gift is amazing. So I'm really excited to talk to you about, just how it came about and everything. So we're going to get into that. But first, there's a few things going on in the city, in the country, in the world that we need to talk about. We're going to talk about them right now. So one of the biggest things, well, actually, we usually start for the last few months or so. We've been starting every show kind of giving a recap of what's been going on with the pandemic, with the coronavirus. It's been announced today, over the past few days, that, malls and different places like that have been opening back up. It's more indoor dining. They're moving toward getting back to normalcy. Some people are still skeptical, as a school recently had an outbreak, and a couple of places overseas have been actually going back to shutdowns and lockdowns. And so there's a sentiment among some people that it feels too soon. So I just want to talk a little bit about the pandemic itself, how it's affected you guys, since I don't think I've talked to any of you about this yet. So so I'm gonna start with my brother Mike. I know you work in a retail environment, and so has it affected your work at all, or your ability to move around like you used to?
I think that the same way it's affected all of us. it's affected me as well. I've been blessed with a job. You know, we grind, we work hard, we do our best to stay clean, and we're mindful of what's going on out there in the world. Retail is a broad brush to be painted with. I would say in the automotive industry,
yeah.
I'm sitting in the cockpit of your car trying to figure out what's wrong with your ride. I get your keys in my hand. I think I've been blessed. I work around real good people, smart, all on the same page. I'm grateful that we're here, and I said we all here, y'all. Some of us ain't here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But some of us ain't here. So it's like I'm blessed. I'm not real wrapped up into the news. You know how I am. It's just it is what it is. I ain't wrapped up in it. Hi, Isha. How you been, Isha?
Thank you, Mike. I'm not standing. I do listen to the news, probably too much for my own good. I did share the other day about Italy going back into lockdown pre-Easter holiday because of all of the I guess they've got an uptick in their cases. And I know the UK, they've been monitoring it as well. Of course, here in Maryland, Governor Hogan, he's lifted most of our restrictions. And I know for Maryland, I'm sure DC and Virginia have the same. There's a registration if you want to go get the vaccine, and prioritization as far as for the most critical people getting it first. It's just wild because it's been like, I think a year and a week or so since the lockdown. And I don't even it's just wild to think of how life has shifted so much since 2020, like just out of control.
If you walked in my store with a mask on 14 months ago, you might have got your head split. Now you must have a mask, and
we have to have a mask on.
The mask is mandatory. Definitely. So Mike had already started this a little bit before we went on, but Cecily, how is the pandemic and dealing with this shift? Like Aisha said, how has it affected your your music and your ability to thrive as an artist?
Yeah, it's been rough. I feel really blessed because throughout the whole pandemic, I was, even though I had less than usual, I was financially secure, had a lot of family support. I was living with my parents at the beginning of the pandemic and most of the pandemic. And so I felt blessed that I was able to help take care of them. And, because if not, then I would have been, in a different place and probably not seen them for months at a time, So I felt really blessed that I was able to be close to family. And at the beginning of the pandemic, it felt really amazing to kind of have like a little reset, even though things felt very uncertain. I was a little anxious. It felt good to be in one place for a long time, like not constantly going all over the place, running myself crazy, doing shows in New York and Richmond and Philly and flying to LA and, doing all the different stuff. So
I'm a little envious. I want to go to LA.
Well, I was about to say that was a little bit of stunting, wasn't it? That was I'm just going to LA and New York, and
No, but she wasn't flipping. She wasn't flipping, and she was saying that's what it was before.
Exactly.
Now it's humbling. But wow, I got my family. It's a blessing.
I wasn't going there like for fun. I mean, I would drive to New York, I would do a gig, and I would drive back the same night, and I would be exhausted. So it's it wasn't like I was going to hang out and chill. So I didn't really give myself a lot of leeway to do that as much as I should have probably. But I'll say the beginning of the pandemic, I basically felt grateful and enjoyed having some solitude. And then, as the year went on, especially as winter hit, because I think for most people, it's like a seasonal thing, your outlook changes. When winter hit, I did get a little depressed. I really started missing performing. And I still really, truly miss performing, and I miss that connection. And so it's been difficult because I miss my band. I miss creating music with them. I work best collaboratively and in person. So it's been hard to create new material on my own and find new ways to do that. So I'm looking forward to things opening up, hopefully, this summer, and kind of feeling safe being in community with people again.
I can relate. Dave and Isha, my bad. So I missed them.
No, it's good. And I just want to say we joke a lot, so don't we just mess with it.
I can totally relate. Keep pushing. Keep pushing.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen is in all this, you're gonna find a song.
Oh yeah. No, I got some good ideas.
It's gonna seem to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said that you work best collaboratively, but I've noticed that you use this opportunity to start doing some performances like in your living room, kinda.
Yeah.
So that's dope. I love those. They're amazing. I don't want to get too deep into the interview yet because we're still talking about our stuff. But yeah, what you mentioned though about the pandemic being a reset, we talked about a lot. And actually, the other young lady that works with us, Patrice, has talked a lot about recognizing the blessing in all of this, of the ability to just be still for a while and regroup and restructure and just take a good hard look at your life and yourself and just self-evaluation and things like that, and the blessings that come with having to be still. So yeah, that's a sentiment that we definitely share. The Grammys was last night, right? I didn't get to see it because I work on Sunday nights. I work a lot, but anyway, I did.
I'm old. I watched the highlights. I was old. I'm 40.
Fell asleep. But
no, I'm 40. I'm old. I didn't watch anything.
Oh, stop it. But anyway,
hear it, and then I went and watched, clips and stuff. So Little Baby touched me. You know what I mean? His performance was, that's where it was.
Yeah, I heard it was outstanding.
Beyonce shut it down. Beyonce shut it down.
Okay, cool. Aisha, I saw you posted that when Nas won the Grammy.
Yes. So King's Disease was an amazing album.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I was very happy for him winning. He's been nominated a few times, but this is his first actual win, which, again, the Grammys being who they are, it is what it is.
Am I looking at Mark? Is the 21st year of the new millennium, and he just won one?
Literally just won his first Grammy. Yes.
Yeah.
It is what it is, Ma. You right.
Yeah, it is what it is. So congratulations to Nasir Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. I posted on I commented on your post saying that was, they really made an attempt this year to make sure that they didn't fall into that, award show so white hashtag. They were saying like the Grammys and the Emmys and so. It was a lot of because who else, like Megan Thee Stallion won something, and I didn't know what's her name. Now I'm gonna mess up this.
Nas and Megan Thee Stallion. That's not cool.
Anyway, that's the one.
Look, I literally was thinking about the conversation we had when Cardi dropped Bodak Yellow, and I remember the shade from David, and I was like, and here we are.
I'm still not a fan of that, and look, we can talk. But anyway, so I didn't know Michelle, and I'm gonna destroy her last name, Indigeacello.
Yes,
I got it right. Yeah. Anyway, I had no idea that she was from this area. Like she went to Oxon Hill High School, and I did not know.
And she went to Duke Ellington for some time too, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So shout out to her. She won for best songwriter, and it was
she used
a big
to play
night.
some go-go bands too.
Oh,
when she was coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. That's some talk.
How about yourself? Have you ever done the go-go thing?
I haven't. I wanted to in high school. A friend of mine was starting a go-go band, but he didn't pick me as a singer. I was heartbroken.
No, that's his loss.
That's all right. We're gonna start a band tonight, and you go. No,
Dave, don't play. We make some calls, man. We make some calls.
We got some drummers on.
I'll tell you.
But so let's talk about a couple of movies that came out recently. Last week we talked a little bit about Coming to America. I just wanted to get you guys' opinion if you guys have seen it.
Next, what movies? We came to America. We here. We need to stay where we are. That man.
It's a classic.
We were brought here.
Right.
Say it again. Brought is a nice word. Shit.
Yeah, being kind.
But Aisha, you have a different opinion of it, right? You said it wasn't that bad.
I do. So knowing like just the background of the movie and the Eddie's catalog of work. Now, I don't know if you remember Pluto Nash. Like,
unfortunately, yes. So tie this in for me.
Eddie's body of work, and like, but Eddie didn't really want to do the movie. Like, Eddie was really not interested in doing a sequel. But fans were really interested in finding out what happened to, the characters once they got married, 20 years later, 30 years later, whatever. So I'm just saying it was a gift to the fans, and you have to couple 2020 was a hellified year. So trying to put together a movie on the scale of what they were doing with Coming to America 2, whatever, however you say it. That was difficult, trying to put that together during a pandemic. I think it was just an opportunity for a lot of Black people to work during the pandemic, earn some money during the pandemic, and put out something that was for fans. It was not, of course, the best movie. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I went completely into it. You know what I mean? Like, it took me 20 years to appreciate Norbit. You know what I mean? Norbit is like
Norbit was funny though. I like Norbit.
Yeah, but it took forever.
It was not fun. It was stupid.
It was a hilarious movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
It took a long time.
It took her 20 years. It took her 20 years to appreciate it. That's stupid.
It did. Like,
that's
forever
stupid.
To appreciate Norbit. So I'm just saying, from that perspective, I went into it appreciating what Eddie did for his fans. That's all.
Okay.
If we could put a little piece of her heart in everybody and just sprinkle it all across the world, we'll be awesome, because that's not pessimism. That's not optimism. That's just pure love. That's because she put in Pluto in that. So I get the same way that I sat here, got off work, was excited for this situation. Talked to Miss Cecily, to Miss Aisha and Dave again. I got home, rolled me 2 or 3 J's, got my 65-inch right here in front of me. I shit you not. I'm like, yeah, it's coming to America. I've been waiting 20, 30 years for this.
Yes.
And 4.5 minutes into it, I got where we were going with it. I want to embrace the women in it, because I have 3 daughters and a little boy. So I wholeheartedly want to embrace. It was some bullshit. That was some bullshit. You can't give me a warmed up joke. It's got to be spontaneous and real. When you try to warm it for me, it tastes like poop.
But see, I think everybody was kind of looking for this classic. Like, the first one is such a culturally iconic.
It wasn't broke. It wasn't broke. It need not.
No, I agree. And that's like Aisha said, Eddie didn't want to fix it, but it was so much.
Yeah, but he got a lot of people were on his neck about it, and he's like, all right, I'll address it and put some out here.
She's right. She's absolutely right, because
the right person got in his ear.
The funniest part was when he rolled over and said, "This is bullshit. We couldn't get no ass." That's the funniest part. That was the funniest part of the movie. Like,
anyway,
that's the funniest part.
I'll say this, because Coming to America, first of all, came out before I was born, so there's that.
Right.
But I grew up watching it. Not sure if I should, because it is rated R. But anyway,
I
remember watching it
as
a little kid, and it's definitely one of my top 3 favorite movies. So
yes,
about the second Coming to America, I'll be honest, I could have done without it.
Yes.
But I'll say I felt like the pacing was off. The movie was moving too fast. I felt like the main character, the son, his acting didn't really pull me in. I know he's from this area. I wanted to like his performance more, I'm gonna be honest. But
I wanted to enjoy the movie. I did.
It didn't move me. And I will say this though, I'm really happy that all them Black people made some money.
Yeah, that's all I was saying. Like, I'm grateful that during the pandemic, some people were working and got to, meet with their icons like Eddie Murphy and James Earl Jones.
And James Earl Jones was good.
And he's 90 years old.
James Earl Jones, his part was extremely bittersweet to me. It brought a level of the word solemn comes to my. I was so depressed, because I was like, I know with every word, and we're laughing, ha ha ha. He's really dying here. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's a blessing to be in his presence. So it's like, Did y'all really milk that? I mean, did he really just die for everybody?
Yeah, that was weird. That was
he just killed James Earl Jones before he actually died. Like, come on, bro. That's like killing Kobe before the helicopter crash.
All right, hold on, man. We can't hold on. All right. Too soon.
You don't do that.
Too soon.
You don't do that. You don't do that.
Too soon. Let's so moving on to the next topic. So I did get a chance to last night. I sat and watched Judas and the Black Messiah.
Okay.
This I feel like if this movie doesn't get an Academy Award for something, it's just another example of, I guess, what's been happening. So maybe it'll just be par for the course. But anyway, I thought it was really well made. I thought it was interesting, to see the perspective of this guy who was, such a hated person in society for a very long time, and to, see the decisions he made and the reasons or some of the choices that he went with. So it was interesting, and it was the first one by Aisha. What's the two brothers' name that wrote it?
You're talking about Kenny Lucas and Keith Lucas.
Yeah, the Lucas brothers. Yeah. So and it's their first movie. So I thought for it to be their first, effort at filmmaking, at writing, a feature-length film, it was really well done. All the actors were superb. I really enjoyed it, but I'm gonna get you guys' opinion if you've seen it. Start with Cecily. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, well, I won't give away anything.
It's gonna be depressing, but I want to see it.
Yeah, and I have the same sentiment. You have to be. That's why it took me a while to watch it, because you have to be in a certain mood to kind of watch movies like that, right? You can't be just run out into the streets looking for justice.
You gotta be in the mood.
You don't want to do that.
You're right.
Right. But no, yeah, I think it was really well done, though. Like I said, I'm not gonna give away anything for you. The part where the dinosaurs attack everybody was crazy. I don't know why they did that, but no, seriously. But Aisha, did you get a chance to see it?
I did watch it. My mother watched it before I did, and then I took the time out to watch it on HBO Max. What I liked about it, is the whole conversation about the Black Panthers. Historically, we as Americans, they don't go into great detail, and that's on purpose. That's intentional. For us as African Americans, we know the story and the whole assassination of So, and what's always striking to me is his age. You know what I mean? Like, he was 21 years old. Like, how young the Black Panthers were at this time.
Yeah.
And they were basically treated like political terrorists. Like, it's just insane.
Yeah. But so
the government treats anyone who is trying to assist the oppressed in America. And I'm not even really radicalized, not for real, but but it's like, as a citizen of a minority, both as a female and as a woman of color, how can you not be a touch radical? Just a touch. And there's that. Yeah, I thought it was a really well done movie. Kudos to Lakeith Stanfield. He's an amazing actor, just outstanding actor. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was really well done. And like you were talking about the age, but just it's so interesting that time brought about people of a young age who had that sense of responsibility and just the charge to help to bring about a revolution and a change for the situations that we were in. And it's an interesting contrast to what's going on today, and how with a lot of the stuff, a lot of young people have been pioneering, these marches and rallies and things, and just showing, how that's kind of come full circle. Because there was a time when, people around that age range, he was what, like 20 when he got assassinated? 22, yeah, when he was assassinated. But the amount of just focus and drive that he had, even listening to, some of his actual speeches, which they used, parts of to inform the movie. Just amazing to see people with that level of focus and drive at that age. Because at 22, I was not that focused. That's all I'm gonna say about that, and I'm gonna leave it right there. But Mike, did you get a chance to see it?
Once again, I got home from work. I went and bought HBO Max just to watch this movie.
Okay.
And Miss Cecily spoke of something. She said, previously she spoke of the Coming to America young actor, and that he didn't really draw her in. For I need you to draw me in. If you're going to be the prime individual I'm listening to, and the key factor in the equation, draw me in. Respectfully, the choice of actors was poor.
You think
Fred Hampton? Fred Hampton should have been played by no other than KRS-One, because the individual who spoke. You hear me out? No, sir, he's not. Maybe it's physically, but Coming to America made the niggas young again. That's not my point. My point is this: I couldn't understand a damn thing he said when he tried to use Illinois and Chicago dialect. I didn't embrace him because he's like respectfully an African brother trying to sound from the hood. Fred Hampton's words were thorough, real, to the core. They permeated crackers. They permeated everybody because he spoke to your poorness, your grittiness, your nothingness. And where do we find the common ground? Well, this is it. Damn your color. And none of us got nothing. Who is holding us down?
Right.
Who is holding us back? And unfortunately, I feel like in that movie, like she said, the other individual didn't bring her in. I find myself like I'm trying to listen, but you're also talking to somebody who actually been listening to Fred Hampton tapes since I was 13, 14. Yeah. Along with Dr. King and Muhammad, Malcolm and Stokely, everybody. So it touched me. I was so pressed to hear the story. I appreciate like Isha said, you know what I'm saying, finally giving us the truth. You know what I'm saying? You know, he wasn't of what you made him then in the Times, in the papers. I don't appreciate the conveying of his word. His word was important in how he came across. He didn't bring me in because I don't understand everything he said. Like, I mean, not to the point where I needed to. Whereas I mumble, I speak fast. I hope that when it's time for you to hear what I said, you understood what I said because I enunciated or I was fucking clear, whatever. I didn't get that from that movie. So in that,
I thought he did a good job.
Who? I mean, an imitation will not do in this matter. I need a real, and I want to KRS-One. Based on, if you go to KRS-One, how he looks, and pictures of Fred Hampton, and listen to what KRS-One has been telling us from day one.
Yeah. But who's to say that KRS-One has the acting capability to portray the character?
I know. I'm just being hopeful. That's wishful thinking. The other dude, he want me to. I'm still trying to get out. I'm still trying to get out with him. That was an awesome movie. All he had to do was drop a tear, and I got him. Now, Mr. Stansfield, that's cold, man. We did it. We did him crud, man. As a whole, collectively, we did him crud, man. He shouldn't have to go through all that back and forth about what he portrayed versus who he is as a person, man. That was messed up. You know what I'm talking
about? Well,
you talking about Charlemagne?
Yes, ma'am. You got it.
Oh, but you know he's a mess.
But he's funny.
It's more for publicity. I feel like that was more to build up publicity for the movie, though. Like I ain't even really paying attention.
Lakeith ain't playing.
He wasn't playing.
He ain't playing.
Yeah.
He's not playing.
You know, I mean, that's just,
he said he had to go to therapy behind this movie. Like,
to portray and the actual guy who he portrayed, after
killed himself.
Yeah.
Suicided.
Realizing what he did, I mean.
I'm sorry, but he should have. I'm sorry. That's my opinion.
Everybody has.
That's pretty heavy.
Opinion.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna get us shut down on our first show.
He did right. He did. We both do.
We used to say that. Remember, we used to say that all the time. This is gonna be our last episode, ladies and gentlemen. But just moving on. March is Women's History Month. I just wanted to briefly just talk about inspiration. I did this last week too, but since I have a new group of people here, I want to talk about just women that have inspired you in your life. Any woman that's giving you, that extra boost of inspiration, or someone that's instilled something in you, or been just you know, a strong, influential woman in your life. I hate to put you guys on the spot like this. Actually, I love it because it makes for good programming. But so I'm gonna start with you, Mike. Do you have any women in your life that you like to shout out, or you know?
That sound corny?
No. I mean,
or cliche. I think that the women that make a big difference in my world. Previously, my mama, and I'm not kissing your butt, but your grandma, Miss Mary Walton.
Oh yeah, she's nice.
Miss Mary Walton. And now, right now, I have, like I said, I got 3 little girls who make my day worth a while, and I have an awesome wife. I have an awesome wife. Like she's amazing. So yeah, I don't need to celebrate it in March. I do it in June, July, November. You know, I do it all year round. I mean, I celebrate their love, their passion, and their hearts and their worth every day. So I don't need March for all that. You dig?
Yeah.
I don't mean no disrespect by saying that.
No, you good. I think we get the gist of what you're saying. So women
shouldn't
have their own.
Just, not the gist.
Women shouldn't have their own history month, is what you're saying. Forget about women's history. No, just
I think you minimize them when you put it in 1 month.
That's well, you know.
Okay, DC. All right.
Yeah. So moving on, Aisha.
Yeah, you know, I'm grateful that I have a excellent role model. An excellent role model in my mother. You know, she's a wonderful person. Has always instilled in me to be passionate and driven about whatever goals I have for myself. My grandma Lily, my grandmother Dolly. Just everyday working women, you know, I'm fortunate to be around, and they make miracles happen with meager things. So yeah.
Yeah, the magic of a Black woman is dope. So Cecily, you know, do you have any women in your life that you'd like to acknowledge in this moment?
Definitely my mother. You know, man, I don't know where I'd be without my mom. Obviously, I wouldn't be here. But I mean, just her example, you know, and the things that she's accomplished in her life. You know, she helped raise 4 children, and also broke many barriers in her career as a lawyer, and, you know, being the first Black woman to hold certain positions in large corporations and things. And I remember being 12 years old and seeing these articles about her and just hitting me that, like, damn, like, my mother is really, like, on it. Like, you know, like, this is somebody who, you know, when she gives advice, she listens. So definitely my mother, my sister, my grandmothers, and then just lots of women who I learned about, you know, through life, whose words I've read and listened to, who have really inspired me. And some people that come to mind are B. Wells. I'm talking about the Black Panthers. You know, reading Eleanor Brown's autobiography in high school really meant a lot to me. Toni Morrison's words have really helped to kind of shape me and guide me. And reading the autobiography of Wangari Maathai, who was a environmental activist, Nobel Peace Prize winner from Kenya, also a politician. I really, you know, appreciate her and her life's work. So there's too many to name, but that's some people that come to mind.
That's dope. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, all great women. Last week when I talked about it, I think I said my mom, and so I don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over. She is pretty dope though. But yeah, you know, Mike mentioned my grandmother. I remember my grandmother being the first person when I was younger. You know, we had a big family, and you know, it was always the kids stay in the kid place type thing, and you know, he stayed out of adult conversations. And I think she was the first person, and in the midst of an adult conversation in my, you know, maybe 8 or 9 year old brain, what I perceived it as, she like turned to me and was like, "What do you think about it?" And in that moment, like that was just the most. I was awestruck And you know, so it took me a second to kind of, you know, to form an answer. But just how strategic that thing was for her, because I think, and you know, the way I see it is she knew what she was doing. Because I mean, just having those being able to have those conversations with her, it's put me in a position to, you know, like to talk and, you know, to interview people and talk to people and do this and kind of stuff and entertain and things like that. So, you know, kind of called to seeing that at a young age and cultivating that in me. I always attribute that to her and my mom and dad and, you know, my family, but yeah, but mostly my grandmother. So that's who I'm going to shout out, Mary Walton, today. She's, you know, she was a great woman. So, yeah. Yeah, so of course, you know, Women's History Month is, like I said, this month, and I think, you know, each show I'm going to take a little time out to shout out some dope women in the world, because it seems like the right thing to do, right? Why not?
Sure.
Yeah. So I do want to get into this interview though, because we have an amazing talent with us today, and why not ask her some questions about how she got here and what she does with her life. So Cecily, like I said, I've said a couple times, I'm gonna say it again. Thank you so much for joining us. This is pretty much what we do here, just converse and have fun. And I always like to start my interviews by taking it, you know, taking the person back to their youth. So do you remember when you were younger, when people would ask you what you wanted to be when you grew up? Do you remember what you would say?
Yeah, I think I used to say an actress.
Okay.
Which I don't know why I said that, but I think that's what I used to say.
Yeah, well, performing is, you know, it's all in the same realm though. So no more aspirations to act though?
No, not. I mean, a little bit here and there. Okay. A little bit, but yeah. mostly music.
Yeah, seeing you perform, you have a lot of emotion, and yeah, being able to emote is a huge part of acting, you know, and so I think you would be good at it. That's just my opinion.
Thank you.
But I always like to start with that question just because it's always interesting to see, you know, where people start, and I always like to, you know, illustrate the fact that where you start isn't always where you finish, and that's okay. There's a lot of people who aren't living the path that they saw for themselves and maybe, you know, feeling down about that or feeling bad about it, but you know, the path is always being created, you know, and it's more about the journey. So that's like to show that, you know, a lot of times, you know, it's not always where you start, but where you end up. And so, yeah, that's dope. So coming from that little girl who wanted to be an actor, how did music come into your life? Like, when did you discover that you had this gift and start to cultivate it?
Yeah, that's, you know, I used to like to sing, but I never wanted anyone to hear me sing because I was shy about it. I do remember in middle school, we were singing in music class, and the girl sitting next to me, her name was Megan, she turned to me and she said, "Cece, you have a really nice voice." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then I was embarrassed because I didn't want anybody to be listening to me, you know. But so anyways, I enjoyed singing. And so when I was 12, I saw a flyer advertising voice lessons at my local, you know, performing arts center, and I asked my mom if I could take voice lessons. She made me do a little audition in the kitchen to see if I could sing. And I sang something for her, and she was like, "Yeah, okay, you can take voice lessons." So I have to thank my parents for investing in me early on from the age of 12 up until now. I've always taken voice lessons. I've always trained my voice, and I didn't realize this what I wanted to do as a career until I was maybe 19 or 20. But yeah, it's always been like something, you know, part of my joy, and definitely a part of my growing as well. Just learning how to stand in front of people and, you know, hold people's attention, and getting more comfortable just in my skin, you know, not being shy.
It's funny he asked that.
Came from performing.
I wanted to know, because it ties in what he asked. When was your aha moment? That moment when you said, "I'm gonna have the courage to sing," or sang in front of others. And then when was the moment when you said, "Hold on, I can sing"? Like, when was that moment for you?
You know, like, well, the second part of that question, that moment we were like, "Oh, I can really sing." Like, I feel like I have those moments all the time. Like I have moments where I sing something I didn't mean to sing, where I mess up and I'm like, oh.
I know that's right.
And then, and then 2 minutes later I sing something and I'm like, oh, that was kind of good. Like I might be good at this. So that part is constant,
That's what's up.
But in terms of like an aha moment, I do remember when I was in college, I went to school. So when I was a little girl, I wanted to be an actress. But by the time I was like in 8th grade, 9th grade, I had decided I wanted to be a diplomat. I wanted to work in international relations. And that's what I wanted to do. So I went to college.
And you still can, and you might.
This is true. There's always time. But I went to college. I majored in political science. And it was like after my freshman year, I guess, I was at a music festival with my parents, and I was watching somebody perform on stage, and I just like had this feeling, like this gut feeling, this heart feeling that, I was supposed to be on stage, not just in the audience. Like I just had this strong desire to be holding the microphone, and I knew it wasn't just ego, it wasn't just me like wanting to be in front of people and get attention. It's just that like I knew like that's what thing I was supposed to be doing. And so from that point forward, I kind of started taking music more seriously, not just as a hobby, but as a profession, as a possible career. And so I started to, explore more into songwriting, which I hadn't done before. And I started to, try to have more solos, because I was always in a lot of choirs and a cappella groups and all that, but I wasn't always like trying to solo. So I put myself out there a little bit more with that. And yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Dope.
Awesome.
That's dope. I just want to shout out your mom real quick. I love the part of the story you say that she made you audition for. She's like, I'm not gonna send you out there to be embarrassed. Let me see what you got. That's
I think
dope.
it was more so like, I'm not gonna waste my money.
Right?
I
Yeah.
have no like innate talent, which I don't think is 100% fair, but hey, it's her money, so I.
Right.
It's an investment. I agree. That's a sound investment.
Right.
Because if you sound like when I sing, then that's not a good investment. Right. Not at all. Or Dave. Dave can't sing either. Isha, can you sing? Can you sing, Isha?
Nope.
Is she honest? Is she honest? She said no.
She can hum though. She's a good. She's a good. And a whistler. She's a good whistler. But,
that's a talent right there.
But so who are your favorite? Like, who do you listen to? Like, you're a dope artist, and it's always interesting to see who people are really good. Like who's in your? I used to say iPod. I guess iPod is not a thing anymore, right?
Playlist.
Yeah, who's in your playlist? There you go. Thank you, Mike, for bringing us into 2021.
It's funny. I just moved, and so I came across my old iPods, and I was like, I'm saving these joints.
Yeah, classic now.
So I still do have those iPods,
Yes,
but
indeed.
I think so. Some recent people I've been listening to, I'm really definitely an R&B person, like a soul music person. I used to listen to a lot of hip hop. I'm gonna be for real. I don't listen to hardly any hip hop anymore. It just doesn't.
It's dead, but it's okay.
No, it's not even that it's dead. It's just that it just doesn't. I don't vibe with it in the same way that I used to.
Right.
So but when I find artists who I do like, I will listen. But in terms of who I've really been listening to, I said yesterday on the socials, and it's very true, that my favorite album of last year was Leanne LaHavis's self-titled project. Leanne LaHavis, she's one of my favorite artists. This is her third album, and I think it's definitely her best one. I think it should have got a lot more attention than it did, because it's beautiful and I listen to it all the time. Another artist also from the UK. I listen to a lot of UK artists. I just feel like they have a little bit more creative freedom over there somehow. They're not trying to fit into boxes as much. Right. So I really like Cleo Soul. She's super, super dope. Shout out to DJ Wizio from PFW Soul Conversations, who put me on a Cleo Soul. He was like, you gotta listen to Cleo Soul. He was like, you don't know Cleo Soul? I love her song When I'm in Your Arms. Could listen to that all day. And some other people, like new people, I listen to Xavier Omar. I also really like his new one of the songs off his new project with Mariba. So those are like some new people I've been listening to. But for real, when I'm mostly listening to music, I'm listening to things from the 70s, 80s, and kind of.
You said substance. You said things with substance. I understand.
No, I said things from the 70s, but that too.
Substance. when the song was a song.
You heard the subtext of that.
Yeah, right.
But I think like today, what I was listening to Aretha Franklin, Roberta Flack, and yeah, that's usually what I'm listening to. It's like some old school stuff. I was listening to Donny Hathaway today. The other day I was listening to a lot of Faith Evans, Mary J. Blige. So I love Anita Baker. I love Phyllis Hyman. I love Minnie Riperton. I listen to a lot of Minnie Riperton and Chaka Khan. And so that's generally where you'll find my ears at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that soul is definitely very apparent in your work. Yeah. So you talked about how in the UK they don't work as hard, I guess, to kind of fit into the boxes. Do you find that a lot more here, that people try to put you in boxes, with your music and stuff, and try to put you in specific categories? And do you think you fit into a specific category?
Well, I definitely see myself as a soul music artist, and I'm very comfortable with that, like that label, if you want to call it that.
Soul, it's real.
That's definitely because I when I think of soul music, I think of like a lineage, of sound and sonics, and I definitely see myself as a part of that lineage, as an extension of that lineage. So I'm very comfortable with that label. I do think that in the US, music is still very race based. Like since the invention of recorded music, there's been race records, and I still think that that's really how the music industry is set up over here. It's very much based on race. And I think that, there's definitely, when it comes to R&B, like contemporary R&B, there's like a very polished, like radio sound that people are going for. And I, particularly for myself, am not a huge fan of that very polished, highly compressed mix quality that a lot of contemporary R&B has, because like I said, I love 70s music, and 70s music feels very organic,
Right.
And so I feel like sometimes when I finish my work, I'm just like, nah, they're not gonna play this on the radio, because it doesn't have that. It's not that it's not good enough, it just doesn't have that radio quality that people look for on radio over here.
Excuse me. You say quality?
I mean that radio mix quality.
I don't mean quality, necessity. You have most certainly of quality. Make no mistake about it. I'm not trying to flatter you. I remember sitting in there and we're going to a little boutique. I'm trying to see Dave. I want to see him succeed, but in my back of my mind, I'm like, his jokes wasn't funny in the car. But on stage he kills it. But then I hear this sultry voice. And I don't know how I'm gonna show it to you, but I recorded my wife. She's about 2 chairs over from me, and she's grooving to this young lady up there singing. I'm like, I ain't know she was gonna be here. This is awesome. You set it off. Quality, Mom. Most certainly, most definitely quality. Okay.
Thank you.
Make no mistake about that. I don't know how you fit in that radio box. Why? Damn all that. Create your own box. Make your own box and make your own way, because ultimately that's what holds us. That's why the 70s music still holds us. I'm cooking salmon last week. 70s music, R&B, Alexa. And then here comes Otis Redding.
That's what you need.
It's what's on my radio. So.
Yeah. I also think another difference between here and the UK is that when I send people my music in the UK, I'm not just gonna say the UK, but Europe in general. But I've gotten a lot of love in the UK, so I want to shout out, my people in the UK for that support. But they don't really look for what my label is as much, or if I even have a label, or who I'm working with, who I'm associated with. It's more so about the music, and I feel like here, people are more so willing to support you once they know you have the machine behind you in some way, So I think that there's also that, because here things are very much still money driven. Even though payola is illegal, it's definitely a thing. And, you know, in Europe, payola was never really a thing and still not a thing. So I feel like it's just more about the music. So one of my goals for last year before everything shut down was to finally go over and perform in the UK, and I was like so excited to make that happen. But you know, soon come. It'll happen when it happens.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're gonna set up a tour for you. Nah, I jumped out there too far. Anyway, but yeah. So your your appeal is amazing. I see you have fans, like you said, you have a following in the UK, but worldwide. Is it surprising to you how many people respond so positively to your work?
I wouldn't say it's surprising.
I think I worded that weird, like they shouldn't have responded. I didn't mean it like that. What I meant was, because it's always like I've done music and I've done a couple of things, and it's always like, oh, people really like what I do, you know. So yeah, that's what I meant. I just want to clarify. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's not surprising, but it's definitely heartening. You know, like it reminds me, like, okay, people are noticing this. Like, people are not just hearing the song, but they're adding it to their playlist. They're putting it on repeat. You know, they're sharing it with friends. Like, I have people who will tag me in their, you know, Instagram stories playing a song I released like, you know, 3 years ago or something that to me is already old, right?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And they're like, oh yeah, my friend just told me about this song, you know, and that to me is like, wow, okay, that's great. People are sharing the music. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and it shows that you have that timeless quality, and that's a great segue to my next question. I was looking through your catalog of work, you know, in preparation for this, and I noticed you have like, you know, some music out. You have a good amount of music out. So I saw some of the first like singles and things that you put out, you know, a few years back, up until you have you know, like I said, you have this four song EP out now. Your growth, I think, in listening to your music is evident. But in your opinion, what's the biggest thing that's changed from, you know, when you released that first song to now releasing, you know, music, and just the whole process? What's the biggest change that you made?
Yeah, I think the biggest change for me has been, one, I just gotten older and I have a better idea of who I am and what I want to say, you know, and what my legacy is as an artist. And I think two, I've really found some people that I trust and who I enjoy working with, and I'm, you know, I know that we can, like, we vibe, you know.
Right.
So I think that those two things help a lot. Like early on, I was just kind of working with whoever people kind of connected me with or recommended because I didn't know anybody, you know, and I was kind of just writing like whatever felt good and whatever came to mind. But now I definitely go into projects much more thematically, and I'm always thinking about the message. I'm always thinking about, you know, how the message I want to leave people with. And so I think that's the biggest change. And I'm really proud of my growth. And in addition to Awakening Part 1, I also released a new song last year called Spirit Tell Me. And that's the first single off my upcoming project, Awakening Part 2, which I hope would have been recorded by now. But, you know, there's a pandemonium. So I'm going to have to wait a little while. But soon come, soon come.
Yeah. You talked a little bit already about how, you know, the pandemic and then just all the craziness that's been going on has affected, you know, your ability to you know, collaborate and work and things. So, but you said you are working on the Awakening Part 2, and it's coming. Do you have any tentative, you know, plans of dates or anything? Or
so fingers crossed. I applied for a grant that they're announcing at the end of the month. So if I get that grant money, I'm hoping to release the project this summer and fall.
Oh, okay.
That's the plan.
Yeah. Because part one, I was wondering if there was going to be, because you know sometimes people do a part one and they just never see anything about it. But yeah, so there's going to be a part two. So
no, definitely part two. The problem is now I have so many songs written for part two. Like part one was 4 songs.
Right.
Part two, I have like 9 songs written, and I'm like, okay, I can't afford to do all of these songs, so I have to figure out which ones make it and which ones don't. We'll see. But yeah. Definitely part 2 coming, and I already have the project after that really like in the works, at least in my head. So
that's right. Yeah.
It's hard sometimes because you have the music, you live with it for so long, and it already feels like, okay, I want to do the next thing, you know?
Right,
People haven't even heard it yet.
Yeah,
They haven't even heard the last thing yet. So, yeah.
So speaking of that, and that process of going through and picking, which ones will go on the album and things of that nature. Do you have a favorite piece that you've done? Like, I know for most artists, every piece is like their baby, and so it's hard to pick one. But do you have something that you're like, this one right here is the one?
Yeah. Okay. I really like Clumsy. I know that's like everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of my favorite too. I really love, it's funny. The things I love about the most are the things I didn't do, like the horn arrangements. I mean, I was there when we wrote them, but it's not like I wrote them. Shout out to Drew Kidd, also known as Andrew Flores, who co-wrote the song with me, and Malik Hunter, who co-wrote the song with me.
Malik Hunter is the homie. I know the bassman, right? The bass player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was named Fire Archer. That's his producer name. It's Fire Archer.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
He produces.
I didn't know him Malik. But yeah, I love Clumsy. I love Acceptance, which is also from Awakening Part 1. Just because that song, I really wasn't sure of it at first, but when I listen back, I'm like, no, that was I'm always proud of the lyrics that I write, the most. It's like when I'm able to really tell the story in an honest way, but in a compelling way. And someone tweeted me the other day, they were tweeting, someone said, like, what songs make you feel seen as a person with, they were saying, like, with, learning disabilities, basically. I think there's a better, more PC term for that nowadays, but I can't remember what they said. But, and he retweeted it with my song Acceptance. He retweeted with my song Acceptance, and that made me feel really good, that song makes people feel seen and appreciated for who they are, that's really beautiful. So
so I want to talk a little bit about writing, because I've in my younger days I used to be known as quite the lyricist. And I've written raps. Like, I have notebooks full of raps. I used to do that all day. So I worked with a couple of singers when I started producing, and I tried to sit down and write R&B, and it turned out to be one of the hardest things I've ever done. So I just want to, if you can, just I'm always so fascinated. Like, you're a superhero to me, because you're able to make like amazing music that people really feel, and that's the draw, the relatability of it, for lack of a better term, is always amazing to me. So can we just talk a little bit about like your writing process, or is there like a standard process, or does it like come to you? Like, how do you write?
It varies a lot. I will say that props to you, because I have a really hard time trying to figure out how to write raps. Like, I'm like, how do you even have that much to say? I'm very impressed with rappers. Like, at least as a singer, like, I'm repeating stuff a lot, rappers, you have to have so much to say. I don't think I even have that much to say. But yeah, the process varies a lot. Like, was it last night or 2 nights ago? 2 nights ago, I got a really good like sketch outline. I almost wrote the whole damn song of a new song, and it just kind of came to me. Like, sometimes I'll just allow things to, like, when I have an idea, I just pull out my voice memos on my phone and I just keep recording, and I sing things a couple different ways till I find a melody I like, And so usually I'll come, because I don't play, right? So I don't play an instrument, at least not that well. So I usually will come to a friend of mine, like Drew, who plays keys, like Zach, who plays guitar, or, whomever I want to work with, and whoever I feel like the song would speak to, like, they would get it. And, I'll sing them what I have, and then we'll start to kind of sketch out the chord structure underneath, and then figure out what the groove is going to be, and, finalize kind of the structure, like, okay, when does the bridge come in? Should we repeat certain sections? That type of thing. And then it kind of just builds from there. You get the demo, you figure out what other, things need to be on there. Like, do we want strings? Do we want horns? Like, who's playing on this? Like, what musicians do we need to like bring this to its fullness? So that's usually how things go, is I'll come in with an idea, to one of my, friends, and we'll kind of build it together. But other times, like when I wrote my new single, Spirit Tell Me, I wrote that with Musina. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Musina, another amazing Black female singer, songwriter, producer, arranger, composer. She does everything. And I came in there with nothing. Like, we just met up for the first time, went to her apartment, and I just had a quote. I like to base my songs off of quotes and like books a lot. So I had this bell hooks, passage that I was rereading, and so I read it to her, and we just kind of talked for a long time about ideas. And then she started playing something on the piano, and then the first thing that came to mind was the first line of the song, and it just kind of like built from there. And we wrote the whole song in like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, which for me is pretty quick, because usually it takes me a long time to write second verses and bridges and all that stuff, but it just flowed. So sometimes it happens like that. Yeah,
that's dope. Yeah, that flow is necessary. I always go back to a Michael Jackson quote, where he talked about, shut up, Mike, where he talked about talked about the songwriting process, and how true art is direct connection with God. It's like, or with the creator, and it's a flow. And so if you can't think, in the process, because it's organic. True art is organic. That's what he said. And if you start to try to think too much about it, you put yourself into it, and it's no longer art. And so that flow is how some of the greatest pieces have been created. So thinking back to when you were recording regularly before this whole pandemic started, I always would tell, when I was working with artists, I would always tell them to get what I call the studio survival kit. So some things that you just have to have with you, whether it's, so for me, when I would record, I would always need a energy drink, because, I have to be in there for a while, or something before there were energy drinks. And I'm not going to date myself, but I would get like, some kind of candy or something, just because, you start to break down after a while. You need that kind of boost. And, there were times, a long times, mixing and things like that. And so I would, have like something to read or something, and just water, lots of water, and my phone. After a while, phones became a huge thing. But do you have like things that you have to have with you, for that process, like a studio? What's your studio survival kit?
So, not much. I'm pretty simple. Like, usually I'll bring with me lots of water, some tea, some non-caffeinated tea. Like, there's one I like called throat coat tea that's like good for your throat, and with honey in it. And I usually will bring a printout of the lyrics, not because I don't know the words, but mostly because when we're going through and comping, which means like figuring out which lines we like from which take, because I usually don't just do like one take and we use the whole thing. I usually do like 3 or 4, and then we pick out which parts we like from each and blend them together. So when you're comping, it helps to have something to write on, like, okay, I like this word and this line from this take and this. So I usually will bring that and a pen, and that's it. I don't like to wear shoes. I usually take off my shoes, so it's good to have a sweater just in case it gets cold. But I'm pretty simple. And most studios have dimmable lights. I usually set the lights like, mid-level, enough that I can still read something, but not too like awake, Right. And I usually don't do studio sessions for more than 4 hours. Like, I usually cut it at 4 hours, because by then I don't like to sing for more than 3 hours at a time, because my voice would get tired, and like my brain just gets fuzzy.
Yeah, you start to break down. Yeah.
Yeah.
What clicks for you the most? The process, making the song, or once it's a finished product and you have the opportunity to perform it? What's best for you?
Performing, definitely. Performing.
Once it's finished.
Yeah, I mean, the performing is always the best part. It's actually, I mean, back in the day for me, early in my career, I usually would perform a song for like a year and a half before I recorded it, because, I wasn't recording a lot. And so that gave me a lot of time to workshop it. The performances are like a workshop. You figure out what's working. You sing the melody so many times. You figure out like how you actually want to sing, how you like singing the melody best, and what works. And, you know, you figure out how to build it and bring it back down and things like that. And so I think that's helpful. I mean, with with this past project, I wasn't able to do that because I just was on a quicker timeline. And so now it's like when I perform it live, there's parts where there's ways I sing it or whatever, and I'm just like, man, I wish I had done that on the record, you know? Yeah, but definitely performing.
A live recording. As we proceed into 2021 with all that we're going through, are there certain topics, you know, in the world that, you know, stoke the flame of inspiration, make you say, hey, I want to write about this, I want to sing about this? And I guess the next question is, do you find any reluctance because you don't want to, you know, ruffle any feathers, or you don't want to push the envelope too much in a song?
I mean, I usually like to write about healing in some way, right? That can mean a lot of different things, but and I feel like that's needed now more than ever. I think the thing for me is when I'm writing is I want to leave something with people, but I don't want to be preachy. And so for me, it's always about figuring out how to do that, right? Like how to show this story, how to show this lesson without telling people what to do. And I think that's one of the things that's a little bit like off. It's not that I don't want to ruffle feathers. It's just that I know I don't really like being like preached at, you know, like if you're going to try to tell me about something, then like tell me about it, you know? Like I said, like most of my work is recently has been based on books. So like Awakening Part 1 was based on these 3 books about love. One is called All About Love by Bell Hooks. And that's the book that I'm really using as inspiration for Awakening Part 2. And there's so many topics she touches on in there. Like for instance, one song is about, one part of the book I really love, she talks about like respecting the rights of children as full human beings, right? Like not treating them like they're less than, not talking down to them, not being disrespectful, not being physically abusive, you know? And so I'm not going to write a song saying like, you know, don't beat your children, da 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 da. Instead, I wrote a song that is like a dedication to my future child about like the ways that loving them has changed me and how I want them to be their own full person, you know? So I think for me, it's about it's like digesting the things that I've read and the things that I've learned from them that I think are like life-changing. And then like, you know, pulling that through my own personal experience and telling it from my perspective, my story, you know? So, yeah.
Dave, may I segue?
Sure, yeah. You got to ask permission to segue? Yeah, I know you haven't done this in a while, but go ahead and segue.
Because she spoke of children. If you was Kirk Franklin, what would you have done in the last day? What would you have done? What would you have done? How about that?
So, you know, it's interesting. I haven't listened to the recording because I'm not going to lie. I've been tempted to listen to the recording, but I also just feel like it's none of my business. Like, I just feel like it's wrong that his son released that. And to me, it just speaks to a deep rift in their relationship, you know, that he would make that public, that you want to publicly shame your father. And I just feel like that's like messy family business that is none of my business. I really wish them both the best.
See, Dave and Isha hold their breath right now. They know what I'm gonna say right now. So honestly, I have 3 girls and a boy. And as I listened to it, I was wholeheartedly appreciative and grateful that the same way I heard put your hands together, and even when I smile, when he used the term motherfucker, that it applied. You understand that? I mean, it applied. Like If he said it in church, I had no problem because I'd beat that motherfucker's ass too. That little boy, because this kid he's 30 some odd years old.
32, yeah.
30.
And he might not. Jesus seen 33. He might not see 33. You see what I'm saying? He might see because as a father, I wholeheartedly believe what Miss Cecily said. Love your children, treat them as human beings. But until that mongrel and that heathen rears his ugly head,
mongrel,
you must slice it at its core. I mean, man, it's tough because
there's some truth to that statement. I'm trying to clean it up for you. No, there's some truth to that statement though, and it goes back to a friend of mine posted it, and when I saw it, and I kind of fit into that whole category of it's family business, and it definitely shows a rift, but it's not something that's not seen. There comes a time in every father and son relationship where the son gets to the point where he starts to feel as if he wants to try his dad. He wants to, it happens in and I've seen it. I don't even have any kids. I know. What I commented on my friend's post when he posted it was, I was lucky enough to have a father who understood that your child's transgressions is always a chance for a lesson. And I didn't mean for it to rhyme, but I'm such a poet and I don't even know it. But anyway, that's a terrible joke. But anyway, no. But
ball of corn, you're a ball of corn.
Anyway, but no, but
you're right.
So like you were saying, Mike, it's imperative that in those situations, their father uses that moment as a lesson. And in this case, the lesson was, you can't always jump out there with people. They're not always going to be like, oh, it's okay and treat you nice. Somebody's going to come back at you, and maybe even harder than that. It was words with his father, but somebody else may take it further than that. And so the father-son dynamic was just interesting to me. Like Cecily said, I really, pray for them and wish for the best for the both of them, just because there's so much there. And then understanding, because, like Mike, I was telling you, first
y'all nicer than me. Y'all so much nicer than me.
Well, like first hearing it, I thought that the guy, that he was like in his 20s or something, but to hear that he's 32, I mean, but like
Aisha, what you think, Aisha? What you think?
So I feel like Kurt handled him like a father would handle his adult son. So there's that. Like, I don't understand what all the outrage is about.
What? It's one of your classic statements. There's that. We talked about this.
There's that.
There's that.
Yeah,
says that a lot, Cecily.
Yeah. So the fact that he would release that, like I said, Cecily said, that's family business, so you did that to embarrass your father.
Viciously.
And ultimately it makes you look just as crazy, if not crazier, because regardless of what Kurt said, be it toxic, whatever, at 33 you have options. You know what I mean? Like, you have options as far as how you and your parents can interact with each other. And to try and shame your parent, I just feel like that's not necessary.
Yeah.
Go get therapy. Go seek help.
Anybody remember Bernard McCullum?
Bernard McCullum? No, who was that?
He told you a long time ago that the word motherfucker was a noun.
Bernie Mac. Yeah.
This guy's a person, place, or thing.
It applies. All right, Mike. Well, we're not going to get too far into that because I want to get back to this interview. Thank you for bringing that up, though. I meant to talk about it because
I actually got a segue, Dave.
That was a good segue. Yeah. That was more of a digression, but it was.
We digressed. We digressed. I digress. I digress.
Yeah. But yeah. So Cecily, I wanted to talk a little bit about you talked about who you listen to now. So musically, you have such a unique sound. I was trying to, usually when I listen to artists, I can kind of pick out who their inspiration is, who their influences are. It was a little tougher with you because you have a very unique sound. So do you have any inspirations, like musically, who your biggest inspiration is?
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of comparisons to Minnie Riperton because of the tone of my voice, and
I can hear that. Yeah.
That's a very high compliment, and I used to run from that comparison because it's a little intimidating, but I started to lean into it a bit more because I did grow up listening to Minnie, and I love her. Like, I love her aesthetics. I love her sonically. I love everything. So, you know, definitely Minnie represent. And I love that she's not easily put into a box, you know, like she definitely blended folk and, you know, rock music and soul and R&B. And I think I generally kind of am drawn to those kind of people that live in between genres, you know, like I love Gil Scott-Heron. I covered one of his songs on my project, Songs of Love and Freedom. I sang Song for Bobby Smith. And just because it's one of my favorite songs. But I love that, you know, he kind of lived in that in between world of jazz and soul. And, you know, is one of the, you know, forefathers of hip hop as well. And I mean, there's just it kind of varies from song to song. On Awakening, on Songs of Love and Freedom, which I released in 2018, I was like very specific about the soundscapes that I wanted. And I think that was important for me at that time because I was really coming into myself and I needed to be specific about who I was and the sound that I wanted, and needed to be able to communicate that very clearly to my collaborators, my producers. And I was I'm still very proud of that project. I think it's one of the best that I've done. Not that I've done that many, but I like that project a lot. On Awakening Part 1, I was a little bit more open. I kind of just wanted to let each song just like kind of like be the lead, like take it. I just wanted to be led by the song, basically. Like whatever the song ended up needing to be, that's what it needed to be. And so in that process, the references came a little later, you know, like when I was working on the song No Room for Fear, I was thinking a lot about Anita Baker just because I felt like the melody already sounded like Anita Baker to me, because I just love how her melodies kind of take you all over the place and are very sometimes acrobatic even, you know, but she makes it sound so easy, and I love that. And I felt like the melody that was a song where the verse, pre-chorus, chorus just came to me real simple, like in, you know, 15 minutes. I had written that, and then it was kind of building the song around that. So, you know, I referenced some Anita Baker and some Isley Brothers and some, you know, LTD. And, you know, it was kind of just like whatever the song needed, I kind of let it flow. But as you can hear, 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe. Yeah.
And do you have like an all-time favorite artist, and then we'll do song. So like some person you can listen to anytime when you're happy, when you're sad, when you're angry, anything. And then is there a specific song that you feel that way about also?
It's very hard to say a favorite artist.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard because it's endless. I think, you know, I don't often reference his music. Like, it's not like something I listen to and say I want to sound like that. But I will say one of my all-time favorite artists, who also has one of my all-time favorite songs, is Bob Marley. Just because I grew up listening to Bob Marley. Like, literally as a little girl, my sister made me a cassette tape with his music on it, and I listened to it every single night for years. So I literally grew up on Bob Marley, and kind of the energy of his music, just about love at like its deepest level, you know, love meaning justice, you know, love meaning freedom. And so I feel like I pull from that, you know, as a inspiration. But one of my all-time favorite songs of all time is Redemption Song. So yeah.
That's an amazing song. Yeah, and you just then you spoke about some of the multifaceted idea of love, you know, and speaking of that and researching, you know, your life and career, I see that you're married, you're hitched, and so has that as because, and I'm so fascinated by just the connection of Mike, shut up. The connection of two people.
The hitching. He's fascinated by hitching.
I haven't worked with Mike in a while. It's always fun. But anyway, but yeah, because Mike, you're married too, and so I want to ask both of y'all about this. Just but more specifically, Cecily, did it change anything about your process or your sound or anything like that? Do you feel like going through that, it's such a huge, step in life and a life-changing process? Did it affect your music in any way?
Definitely. I feel like, the record I wrote, so I released Songs of Love and Freedom after I was married, but I wrote most of it, the vast majority of it, before I was married. Awakening Part 1, I wrote and recorded and released, after I was married, after I was hitched. I think that it's definitely more mature. Like it feels more mature, more emotionally mature even. I think that, when being married, it kind of like holds a mirror up to you every day, of like the person that you want to be versus who you are being in the moment. Like you said you were going to be kind to this person, you said that you respect them, that you cherish them, will treat them how they deserve to be treated, and are you doing that in this moment? Like you said you would be non-judgmental, that you would trust, that you would be present. Like, are you doing that in this moment? So it's like I've never had a growing experience quite like marriage. It just like you grow so much as a person, you grow so much emotionally, spiritually, you start to understand better, especially when you live with someone, like what parts of yourself, I guess like what your boundaries are and why, and how to respect those boundaries, how to respect other people's boundaries. Like you truly learned how to see someone and have a deep understanding of them, and because that is love. Like to seek to understand is to love. That's a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, who's also inspired some of my writing as well. But so I think that it's definitely pulled me into a deeper point of self-reflection, lyrically, and then also just feeling more comfortable talking about love and sensuality and those things as well, because I feel like when I was younger, when I was in my 20s and I was dating different people or whatever, it's like if I sang a song, people were like, ooh, who's that about? Like, right. I don't know. That's in my head, but I felt that way. Now I just feel more comfortable.
Right. They all know it's about that guy. No, but but yeah, that's it's such a beautiful, like, just synopsis of what marriage is. That's dope. So like I said, Mike and I haven't worked together in a while, and since the last time we've done a show together, he got married, and so I'm so interested.
I got hitched. I didn't get married.
He got hitched. Okay. I just really want to ask him real quick. Just that sentiment, that beautiful sentiment of what marriage is that she just presented. Is that I almost know the answer to this, but has that been your experience?
Yeah, because you've been fishing with me in the rain. I told you all this already. I mean, when life cares enough about you to give you a chance to love and to be loved the way you love, and when you get that love back for no reason other than happiness and joy, the joy doesn't come from your loins. It only comes from your heart, your soul. It comes from you, like your wherever you go after you die into the Milky Way. If you can find that with somebody while you're alive, before you get to the Milky Way, before you pass on and leave, and you're here and you're blessed with a presence. Some call it another half. Some call it whatever, a wife, a husband. I'm not even married. I'm in love with a woman. The woman's in love with me. Marriage is an understatement. Wife is it doesn't put a title on what she is to me. She's not only give me reason to breathe, she made me want to breathe again. And I'm grateful. Well, there you have it with your mushy ass.
See, he's a writer too. He wrote
he's extremely poetic. He does, he's written poetry and stuff before. I'm trying to press him to work on his singing voice, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Isha get married soon, right, Isha?
I'm married to the Lord Jesus.
Amen. Amen.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Dave is obviously an awesome guy, and we'll see how. No. What's about marriage, bro? I mean, can I ask you, Miss Cecily, something? Not before. Okay. You know that whatever. I heard some texture in your voice. I heard some. I want to say whatever I heard. I heard some real. The word of soul. You used it before. Was it enhanced by the presence of love in your life? I mean, did it make it better? I mean, to make it, were songs easier to sing? That's corny. I'm sorry.
No, it's not that. I have to reflect. I've never thought of it like that before.
My apologies.
I think she was saying it was a good question. You so used to asking bad questions that you didn't know when you asking them.
No, I never thought of it that way before. I think you might be right. I don't know. I always say, like, when I'm on stage with people that I trust, I start doing things in my voice I didn't think I could do. I never thought of trying before because I'm comfortable, because I trust them. I know they got my back. I'm in the moment, I'm present. And I feel like it's probably the same thing with marriage. Like, you have someone you trust, they have your back, like, they understand you, and you can be present with them. So you're open to trying new things, So I feel like, yeah, you could be right.
I got married in the pandemic, y'all. I rolled over one day. We've been planning for the marriage for a good while, the wedding, excuse me. And then I poked her over, on the side about 3 o'clock in the morning.
I was going to say, where is this going, Mike? This is not that kind of a show.
Listen to me. So 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm nudging her on the side because, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know what I want, right?
Anyway.
I want to talk about the NBA just got shut down. We got problems right now. We don't have a venue for the wedding. I mean, and even through all that, being quarantined in the house made us stronger, and we made something happen that was awesome. So I'm grateful.
Yeah. Love wins. So yeah. And then that time I digressed a little bit, but getting back to this in the few moments that we have left, there's a couple of questions that I ask every guest, and I always enjoy, the answers that I get. It's always introspective, Cecily. So I asked you, and the first one is, if you had an opportunity to go back in time, if you could get in the time machine and travel back and stand in front of 12-year-old Cecily and have a conversation with her, just through everything you've been through up until this point, all the wisdom you've gained, all the life experience, what would that conversation be like? What kind of things would you say to her?
I would just affirm her. 12 is a hard age for everybody. Everything's changing. Like, it's a lot. I remember 12 as being hard. And so I would just affirm my younger self, say, like, you're smart, you're beautiful, trust yourself. Don't listen to any thought that tells you not to love yourself, and just be gentle with yourself. Have compassion for yourself and others. Don't do something just because it's trendy or just because it's, the thing to do. Like, follow your instincts, follow your intuition, follow your heart. Yeah, I think that's it. I would just affirm my younger self, with loving words. Mm-hmm.
That's dope. Awesome. Yeah, and the other question, I try to tailor to the person a little bit. So for you, you've performed, you've stood on stages in front of thousands of people, and poured your soul out to them. When you're standing, whether it's on stage in front of 1,000 people or in front of somebody you're meeting for the first time, when people see you, what is it that you hope they see?
I hope that when people see me, they see someone who wants them to love themselves and who's inviting them into a space and a moment to do just that, to just be vulnerable, to feel what you're feeling, to go through it all together, Yeah.
That's a really good answer. I think it's dope that you're in the moment to the point where you're like, you take a moment to stop. Where you're like, you form the answers. I was looking at you how you kind of clench your eyes. That's kind of dope. It's interesting.
I had to think I've been asked similar questions, but I really wanted to, yeah.
That was a dope answer. I'll tell you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So right now, Awakening part 1 is out now, and Awakenings Part 2 is forthcoming. Where can people find your music, and where can they find you for bookings, for things of that nature?
For sure. So if you are into music videos, I have many beautiful music videos.
Amazing visuals. Oh my goodness. I forgot I had some questions about that. But we'll talk about it when you come back next time.
It's all good. So you can definitely check me out on YouTube. My channel is called Cecily Music. And by the way, my name is spelled Cecily, Cecily. And if you just want to listen to my music, it's available on all streaming services. Just look up my name, Cecily. Once again, Cecily. And if you want to join me on the socials, I'm on the gram more than I should be. And I also just started a TikTok. So if you want to find me on the just as a joke, I always call it the TikTok. If you want to find me on the TikTok, you can, and on the gram, it's at Cecily Alexa. That's Cecily Alexa. And if you're into physical music, like you want to own it, hold it in your hand, play it on your record player, both my albums Songs of Love and Freedom and Awakening Part 1 are available on Wax. So you can find those. They're on the internet. If you go to my Instagram, you click on the link in my bio, it's there too.
Okay. So. Cool. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for joining us today. Your spirit and your light is beautiful. It's amazing. And I saw that. I think that night we all kind of Mike and his wife, and when I was there, we all kind of saw it, and have been following it ever since. And that's why I was like, yeah, I gotta have her on and just have a conversation with you. And it's, of course, lived up to what I thought it would be. It's amazing. You're an amazing talent. I appreciate you. You got to come back and talk to us when Awakenings 2 comes out. Part 2, comes out. Yeah, man. So thank you so much for being here and joining us on this is the first 7 p.m. episode of the Neighborish live cast. On behalf of myself, Super Dave, aka Mr. Incredible, the kind of here, Aisha Green, and
I'm here. Don't do it.
Okay. Yeah, right. It's the hardworking lady, and the always fun Just Mike. And our illustrious guest, Miss Cecily. Thank you guys so much for checking out next live cast. This has been great. We'll be back next Monday, 7 p.m. with more great guests, more information, more education, and more fun. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. I like to say that I got stole that from what's his name, Jerry Springer. He always would say that at the end of the show, and I kind of like it. So I always say it now. So take care of yourselves and each other. And have a great week, and see you guys next Monday. Peace.
Bye, y'all.